TV soap news and spoilers say that today, we're peeling back the wrought iron gates of this affluent Maryland enclave, just a stone's throw from the power corridors of Washington, D.C., to expose the scorching secrets simmering beneath its manicured lawns and towering colonnades. And at the heart of it all? A love story that's equal parts intoxicating elixir and ticking time bomb, Eva Thomas's tantalizing new man. For months, viewers have watched Eva twist in the winds of their toxic love triangle, caught between Tomas's magnetic pull and the lingering affections of her rival, Kat. It was a whirlwind of stolen kisses in rain-soaked parking lots, heated arguments echoing through the emergency room corridors of Garland Memorial Hospital, and tear-streaked confessions under the glow of Fairmont Crest's eternal street lamps. But darling readers, enough is enough. Eva deserves more than recycled heartbreak. And just when we thought the flames of her romantic inferno might flicker out, enter stage left, Isaiah Hawthorne. Picture this, it's a crisp autumn evening in Fairmont Crest, the kind where the leaves whisper conspiracies as they tumble from ancient oaks, and the air hums with the unspoken scandals of the elite. The Dupree family matriarch, Professor Paulette Dupree, hosts one of her legendary garden soirees at the sprawling Dupree estate. Crystal flutes clink like distant chimes, laughter floats on the breeze scented with magnolias and mischief, and the gated community's power players, from retired Senator Vernon Dupree, the incomparable Clifton Davis, whose gravelly voice could command a courtroom or a confessional, to the ever-vigilant police chief Elon Hawthorne, mingle with the grace of panthers circling prey. It's here, amid the swirl of silk gowns and tailored tuxedos, that Isaiah makes his grand, gut-wrenching entrance. Not with fanfare or flourish, but with the subtle swagger of a man who's danced with devils and lived to tell the tale, or at least, to lie about it convincingly. Who is this enigmatic interloper, you ask? Why, Isaiah Hawthorne, of course, the prodigal son, the black sheep in a pedigree of badges and unbreakable oaths. Portrayed by the strikingly charismatic David Lamy Freeb, straight from his heart-stealing turns on Tyler Perry's Sistas and All-American, where he proved he could smolder on screen like a lit fuse, Isaiah isn't just any newcomer to Fairmont Crest. He's the younger brother of Jacob Hawthorne, Gibber Horges, embodying the stoic heroism of a detective who's as much a fortress as he is a family man, and, hold on to your pearls, the estranged offspring of none other than Sheriff Elon Hawthorne himself, Timon Kyle Durrett, bringing gravitas and grit to the role of Fairmont Crest's iron-fisted lawman. But let's not sugarcoat it, Isaiah isn't the golden boy upholding the Hawthorne legacy of law and order. No, he's the stepchild of the family, a label whispered in drawing rooms and hissed in back alleys alike. A wild card who spent years sowing chaos in Jacob's meticulously ordered life, from sabotaging his brother's meteoric rise through the ranks of the Metropolitan Police Department to meddling in the sacred vows of Jacob's marriage to the luminous Naomi Hamilton Hawthorne, Ariel Prepati, whose poise hides a tempest of ambition and affection. To truly grasp the seismic shift Isaiah's arrival heralds, we must first rewind the reel to the Hawthorne dynasty's fractured foundations. Elon Hawthorne, the towering figurehead of Fairmont Crest's constabulary, didn't climb to his perch atop the police department by accident. Born into the rough-and-tumble streets of southeast D.C., where sirens wailed like mourning doves and justice was often just a badge away from brutality, Elon clawed his way up through sheer will and a moral compass forged in fire. His marriage to Jacob and Isaiah's mother, a union that produced two sons as different as night and storm, was the stuff of small-town legend, a whirlwind romance between a rising star cop and a schoolteacher with dreams bigger than the Beltway. But tragedy struck early, as it so often does in these tales. The mother's untimely death in a hit-and-run that Elon could never solve left a void that ambition and authority rushed to fill. Jacob, the elder, became his father's mirror image, diligent, devoted, a robbery-homicide detective whose every collar was a tribute to the family's unyielding code. Isaiah? He was the echo of chaos, the boy who rebelled against the badge by running with the shadows it chased. Flash forward to Isaiah's teenage years, a montage of missteps that could fill a season's worth of flashback episodes. Expelled from 3 high schools for everything from hot-wiring the principal's vintage Mustang to orchestrating an underground poker ring in the gym locker rooms. By 18, he was a ghost in the Hawthorne household, drifting through odd jobs and odder company, a stint as a bouncer in Georgetown's underground clubs, where fists flew and fortunes changed hands in the haze of cigarette smoke, a brief flirtation with underground boxing circuits, his knuckles scarred from rounds that blurred the line between sport and survival. Jacob, ever the protector, pulled strings to keep Isaiah out of juvie more than once, but each bailout came laced with lectures that only fueled the younger brother's fire. "You're a Hawthorne," Jacob would thunder, his voice cracking with the weight of expectation. "Act like it." But Isaiah, with his crooked grin and eyes that sparkled like shattered glass, would retort, "Nah, bro. I'm the Hawthorne they forgot to warn you about." And warn they did, or tried to. Elon's stern edicts from the commissioner's office couldn't bridge the chasm. The old man saw his youngest as a blemish on the family shield, a stepchild, not by blood but by choice, shuttled off to relatives in Baltimore whenever his antics threatened the Hawthorne name. It's this baggage, heavy as lead, sharp as shattered dreams, that Isaiah hauls into Fairmont Crest like a Pandora's box wrapped in designer denim. His arrival isn't announced with trumpets, it's a thunderclap on a cloudless day. Word on the street, and by street, I mean the velvet-roped whispers of the Dupree inner circle, has it that Isaiah rolls in uninvited, tires crunching gravel on the Hawthorne driveway just as the sun dips below the Potomac's horizon. Jacob, fresh off a grueling shift cracking a cold case involving a high society jewel heist, freezes in the doorway, his jaw tightening like a vice. Naomi, ever the diplomat in her tailored sheath dress, forces a smile that doesn't reach her eyes, while their children, wide-eyed twins who idolize their uncle's mythic exploits, swarm him with questions he answers with half-truths and sleight-of-hand tricks pulled from his jacket pocket. Elon? The sheriff's reaction is a masterclass in restrained fury, a curt nod over the rim of his Scotch glass, followed by a private showdown in the study where accusations fly like bullets. "What the hell are you doing here, boy?" Elon growls, his voice a low rumble that once quelled riots. Isaiah, leaning against the oak-paneled wall with feigned nonchalance, fires back, "Same as always, Pops." Stirring the pot. Figured it was time to season the family stew. But oh, the real fireworks. They ignite the moment Isaiah's gaze locks onto Eva Thomas across the Dupree soiree's crowded lawn. Eva, our heroine of Heartache, has always been a force of nature in Fairmont Crest's polished pond, a ripple that turns to a rogue wave. Daughter of the fiercely protective Leslie Thomas, a single mother who's juggled paralegal gigs and PDA battles with the ferocity of a lioness, Eva grew up in the modest shadow of the gated elite. While her peers summered in the Hamptons, Eva learned resilience in the bustling hallways of Prince George's public schools, her dreams fueled by late-night viewings of old Dynasty reruns borrowed from the library. Now, in her mid-20s, she's carved a niche as a rising event planner, orchestrating galas for the Duprees with a flair that blends Southern hospitality and street-smart savvy. Amber Michelle brings Eva to life with a vibrancy that's electric, cascading curls that frame a face alive with mischief, eyes that smolder with unspoken yearnings, and a laugh that could disarm a SWAT team. But beneath that sparkle lies a scar tissue of romantic wounds. Tomas, that chiseled Adonis with a hero complex and a wandering eye, swept into her life like a hurricane 2 years ago, during a charity fire benefit where he doused a grease fire in the kitchen and her reservations in one fell swoop. Their affair was pure soap opera splendor. Clandestine rendezvous in the firehouse bunkers, where the scent of smoke clung to their skin like a lover's perfume, moonlit drives along the Anacostia River, windows fogged with the heat of hurried embraces, and, inevitably, the crash. Tomas's flirtations with Kat, the ambitious paramedic whose ambition matched Eva's fire but whose loyalty was as fickle as autumn winds, erupted into a public spectacle at last year's Fairmont Crest Harvest Ball. Eva, in a crimson gown that hugged her curves like a second skin, overheard their whispers in the coat-room, promises of forever laced with lies. The confrontation was cataclysmic, shattered champagne flutes, accusations hurled like daggers, and a love triangle that bled into every corner of the community. Eva walked away with her head high but her heart in tatters, vowing to swear off men who wore heroism like a cologne. Until Isaiah. Their first encounter is the stuff of fanfic-fevered dreams, scripted with the precision of a Val Jean masterstroke. Eva, tasked with overseeing the Dupree party's floral arrangements, is elbow-deep in a riot of roses when Isaiah saunters up, offering a light for her forgotten cigarette, a prop she uses more for effect than addiction. "You look like you could use a spark," he drawls, his voice a velvet rumble laced with DC grit, his fingers brushing hers just long enough to send a jolt straight to her core. Eva, ever quick with a quip, retorts, "Careful, stranger. Around here, sparks start wildfires." But there's no mistaking the chemistry, it's palpable, a magnetic field that warps the very air between them. As the night unfolds, they steal moments amid the chaos, a shared dance under the string lights, where his hand rests possessively on the small of her back, guiding her through waltzes that feel more like foreplay, a hushed conversation on the veranda, where he confesses fragments of his fractured past, the boxing rings that broke more than bones, the nights spent evading Elon's long shadow, and she reveals her own vulnerabilities, the ache of Tomas's betrayal still fresh as an open wound. What elevates this from flirtation to full-blown frenzy is the drama Isaiah drags in his wake. His two complicated relationships, as teased by the show's publicity machine, aren't mere footnotes. They're fault lines ready to fracture Fairmont Crest's fragile peace. First, there's the familial front, Jacob's marriage to Naomi, already strained by the pressures of his detective duties and her role as the Dupree clan's ambitious linchpin, teeters on the brink. Isaiah's history of interference is legendary, whispers of a long-ago affair with one of Jacob's exes, a scheme that nearly derailed his brother's promotion to homicide. Now, bunking in the Hawthorne guest house, Isaiah's late-night poker games draw in Naomi's cousin, the free-spirited Ashley Morgan, Jen Jacob, infusing the role with bubbly resilience, whose laughter rings too freely and whose glances linger too long. Is it innocent sibling ribbing, or the spark of something sinister that could unravel the Hawthornes from within? Then, there's the bombshell tie to Haley Lawson, Marquita Goings, a vision of sultry sophistication, Bill Dupree's, Timon Kyle Durrett doubling as the family patriarch's conflicted son, elegant wife and Naomi's closest confidant. Sources close to the set, okay, fine, eagle-eyed script leaks, hint at a surprising familial connection that threatens Bill's already rocky union. Could Isaiah be more than a distant relation, perhaps a half-sibling born from one of Elon's youthful indiscretions, a secret that Haley has guarded like a dragon hoarding gold? The implications are deliciously dire. Blackmail, boardroom betrayals at the Dupree Foundation, and a potential custody war over the Dupree grandchildren that could pit brother against brother, lover against legacy. But let's circle back to Eva, because she's the bleeding heart of this saga. In Isaiah, she finds not just a rebound, but a revelation, a man who mirrors her own wild spirit without trying to tame it. Their courtship unfolds in vignettes of visceral intensity, a midnight joyride in his battered pickup, winding through the fog-shrouded backroads of Prince George's County, where they park under a canopy of stars and share stories of survival, hers, scraping by on scholarships and sheer grit, his, dodging bullets both literal and metaphorical in the city's underbelly. The physical pull is immediate, undeniable, a first kiss that's less a gentle exploration and more a conquest, his lips claiming hers with the hunger of a man starved, her fingers tangling in his hair as if to anchor herself against the tide. Yet, it's the emotional undercurrents that make it mesmerizing. Isaiah sees Eva not as the firecracker label her exes slapped on her, but as a symphony of strength and softness, coaxing out confessions she's buried deep, the fear that her mother's sacrifices will amount to nothing if she doesn't claim her own happiness, the terror that love will always demand she dim her light. Of course, no soap opera worth its suds would let paradise persist without peril. Tomas, spotting Isaiah's encroachment from across the firehouse bay, simmers with jealousy that boils over into sabotage, a tampered hose during a training drill, anonymous tips to Elon's desk painting Isaiah as a flight risk. Kat, sensing Eva's glow-up, stirs the pot with veiled warnings about Hawthorne men and their wandering ways. And then there's the Hawthorne patriarch himself, Elon, whose disapproval manifests as a campaign of calculated cruelty, tailing Isaiah's every move with unmarked cruisers, dredging up old arrests to wave like red flags. In one gut-wrenching scene, Elon corners Eva at a community fundraiser, his voice dripping paternal poison. That boy's trouble wrapped in temptation, sweetheart. You'll thank me when he leaves you in the ashes. Eva, chin lifted in defiance, shoots back. Better ashes than the ice you've frozen your family in. As Beyond the Gates hurtles toward its fall sweeps, the stakes skyrocket. Will Isaiah's black sheep status redeem itself in redemption arcs that heal old Hawthorne wounds, or will it ignite an inferno that consumes Fairmont Crest whole? Rumors swirl of an explosive reveal, Isaiah's hand up from an unlikely ally, perhaps the Dupree matriarch herself, Paulette, who's long harbored a soft spot for lost causes, that catapults him into the community's inner sanctum. And Eva? Her arc promises to be the emotional epicenter, a journey from jilted lover to empowered icon, with Isaiah as the catalyst who teaches her that true passion isn't found in perfection, but in the beautiful wreckage of real connection. So, dear readers, as the credits roll on another cliffhanger Tuesday, I leave you with this burning question. Is Isaiah Hawthorne truly Eva's knight in tarnished armor, the man destined to rewrite her romantic destiny? Or is he the serpent in Fairmont Crest's garden, poised to poison the well of her hard-won peace? We've pored over the scripts, dissected the spoilers, and felt the fever in our veins, and we're betting on fireworks. But that's the magic of Beyond the Gates, isn't it? In this world of gated glamour and guarded hearts, nothing is ever quite what it seems, and every glance, every graze of fingertips, could be the prelude to paradise, or perdition. What do you think, fellow fans? Is Eva finally trading Tomas's embers for Isaiah's blaze? Drop your hottest takes in the comments below. Will this be the slow-burn soulmate story we crave, or a scorched earth scandal that redefines the Dupree dynasty? Hit that subscribe button for weekly breakdowns, exclusive set scoops, and predictions that cut deeper than a villain's monologue.